I'm going to open up with a picture of a heart, a cross with 5 hearts on that cross that represents Christ's 5 sacred wounds. I had a vision of this painting, and it's far from being complete. It deals with the theme of living water. It's undergone a number of transitions already, and it will probably go through more before I'm satisfied with it. I want to share with you a letter I mailed to some of my friends about this work and other things that were on my mind. I work with people who are ill at times, do prayer paintings. This is a prayer painting behind me for the welfare of some ladies who have cancer. Sandra, Sandy, as more people know her, and 2 Lisas, and Kathy, and can't remember all of the names. I correspond with a nun who's been my friend for over 40 some odd years, a medical missionary of Mary. I call her my little sister. Dear little sister and friends, I seem to have an artist's eye for the beauty I find in the world and also in my church. I'm also aware of the problems and address them at times for the purpose of limiting them in the future. There are those who perpetuate the problems by regarding the addressing of them as derogatory toward the church, and those who do are enemies. Well, they're wrong. At Mass today I saw the image again I refer to as Christ, and do believe it is, and you will see it too if you look. I'm not content to just experience them. In reference to that, I try to explain how they can occur naturally. The beauty that existed in them is in my discernment and the unique experience of seeing them for the first time, and how they may relate to what I am working on. One can see something 1,000 times but never really experience seeing it. The revelations that can move you positively in your love of God. The timing of the image was when Father Paul held up the host and chalice with wine beneath it. This was done in the direct flow of light, and somehow the reflected surface of the wine projected an image of what I perceived as the upper torso and head, with reminiscence of many images of Christ you see in art throughout the churches. I don't think of it as a miraculous happening, but I do find it inspirational in keeping my deep belief in the truth of God's presence in the Eucharist. A while ago I gave out folders. I found a lot of these cards lying in the closet doing no good at all, and it had to do with a Eucharistic miracle. There was a priest who kind of doubted when he held up the host and wine that it became the body and blood of Christ. Well, when he did that, it changed. Centuries later, they did DNA testing on the tissues that you see in this monstrance here. In the upper one, there was heart fiber tissues. Then beneath that, there were droplets of blood. And they had the same DNA structure as the heart above. And that happened in Luciano, Italy. And so, right after I got done giving them out, I go to the 8 o'clock Mass and say the rosary afterward, and on Fridays we have adoration. And that Friday I saw the initials JC, and I thought it was really neat. I had a lady sit in my seat, and you had to be just sitting in the right place. And she said, "Gee, that's neat, George. We should tell the pastor." Well, the pastor, Paul, was over in Ireland at the time. So if you tell somebody, they'll just move the monstrance anyway. Well, next week they changed the monstrance, but there's still images there, and I enjoy exploring them. I did a video capturing the JC for the first time after giving everybody I could the pictures of the miracle of Lucanio, Italy. I regard these as a visual affirmation of what I was doing is pleasing to God. While exploring the first video of Christ's initials, I noted a minute image on the monstrance support. And sometimes when you looked at it really close, I like it to kind of remind me of Mary, which I'm very much into, and the rosary and so forth. And so I saw images on the new one, which were, I did a video of that also, and what I'll do, I'll take stock pictures and then photograph the video when it stops, and kind of the images change. And and I did that after most of the people left adoration, and kind of very few stayed for the whole 2 hours, maybe 3 of us, or 4 on occasion. And then I will project them on a 55-inch TV so I can see them more clearly and larger. It's somewhat like the shadow of a cross that appeared on my painting for Susie's New Lungs when I went down to record a spiritual song whose first line was "A Shadow of a Cross." I was working on a very large painting on this easel. When I went down to record that song, there was a shadow of a cross on it. I've been in this studio painting for years, I've never seen that before. And the young lady, I considered it a positive affirmation. The young lady did receive her double lung transplant, and I started the painting in October. She had the transplant in May, and just last week, and we're in September now, she had a video up on her Facebook page where she's skydiving in Australia. So she's doing reasonably well. Now, the Friday before last, I had a vision of a prayer painting that I should do at adoration. Like a great number of you who pray, do so in a form of where you take the time to talk to God, and He listens to you. And if you listen, you'll get what I think in terms of like a mind message. You will hear Him speak to you. It's not anything, terribly mystical. Those people who pray do this. The people who don't, or they just do prayers by rote, they don't have a clue about what that is. But it's a wonderful personal communication that you can conduct with God through prayers, saints or whoever, Mary or what have you. This is just a rough start of it. And when I did it, I wanted it to be a prayer painting for the ladies with cancer, and I've got 5 of them that I have on my list, so to speak, that I'm more involved with. And one of them had an operation yesterday, and that letter has to do with this. And she wanted to study with me or have a lesson. She wanted me to show her how to paint Mary, but last Sunday I said, I'm going to start a painting. If you'd like, I'll be happy to have you over. Now, she was in a bit of a weakened state. Her son and daughter brought her over and kind of helped set her up a little bit. She reclined on a sofa, and she watched the start of this piece. It has already undergone a number of changes, and when I do paintings like this, I don't do them to finish it. If I want to, I will totally change it. It's offering up the act of creativity as a prayer. Well, anyway, I have been totally involved with my spiritual life. X number of years ago, a few years ago, I was very ill. I thought I was going to die, and when that happened, they say there's no atheist in Foxville, but I was always a spiritual person. Got to be more that way. And I love that space, and I practice discipline by going to daily Mass and Communion. I'll watch programs on television dealing with theology and that. I love the International Rosary, and I travel throughout the world. And I really love Mary and the Rosary as a prayer for peace in the world. And so last month I actually had to borrow like $500 just to make my mortgage payments, so I wouldn't be 4 months behind, which means goodbye studio. And when I saw this suggestion of this imagery, which is based on living water, it was like, do this painting, and the message was, your problems will be solved, or your present problems will be over. And when I started this, the next day I received verification of a $7,000 sale, and that will give me more than breathing room for a while. And there's another pending sale too. And I couldn't figure out, well, how could a painting of this help me with my situation? It's not something that somebody's going to covet or want in their home, but it's the act of doing it. And I commented here that my present financial problem will be over, and I wondered how that painting will do that. The day after I started the work, I received verification of a $7,000 art sale and positive news of another. People have interfered with my sales. I mean, I made a lot of money. I mean, going from where some quarters you sell close to $140,000 in 3 months to nothing. I know my email was hacked, and I think my telephone back then was also interfered with. I had an ad running, and I always get calls on my ads. And I'd get called, I'd pick up the phone, and it would be cut off. It would also happen when I'd receive notices about different programs dealing with home mortgages that possibly could help me. That would also be cut out. And I think there was an attempt made at ostracizing me too, to keep people out of here. And it didn't bother me a bit, because I was totally enwrapped in doing what I enjoy, which is writing my spiritual songs, and I offer them up as prayer for different people, doing prayer paintings and other things. I was just in a neat spiritual space, and God really took care of me as far as whenever things were getting a little bit tight, boom, something would happen, literally out of the blue. He almost spoiled me in that respect. And I commented on that, though on my homepage section I have a place called Does God Operate in Mysterious Ways? While it seems to affect others with less devious intentions. There's one time I was being sued for $17,000. I won't go into the detail of it, but it was after I paid like close to $1 million in rent, and I wanted to barter while I was ill. I was laid up, and it couldn't happen. And so the gentleman was suing me. I picked up my son. I gave him a ride to go to a psychological counselor he was going to visit with. And he had somebody on the street gave him a Gideon Bible that had the New Testament and the Psalms, and I like those, the New Testament, and primarily I really enjoy the words of Christ inscribed and read in the Bible somebody gave me 40 years ago. And those are the words that I hunger for mostly, and they're so clear and beautiful. You almost can't misinterpret those. And I said, look up number 28. I was looking for the 23rd Psalm, that I walk through the valley of death. I walk by green water. I can't remember how good, but you may know it. Very popular one. And 28 said, if anybody does any damage to you, it'll come back to them manyfold. And I said, well, try 22, and it's still the wrong one. And he went in for a session, and I spent 45 minutes starting at 1, working my way through. And I found the 23rd. The next day, front page of the local paper, the individual who was suing me committed suicide at the same time I was searching the Psalms. Once again, that's kind of like a negative thing in a way, in reference to, but the timing was so unique. And down here I get into I'm going to ask you to pray for a patient, a member of St. Angela's Parish, Sandra Marie Crockett. She's having an operation to remove a cancerous tumor Friday, which was yesterday, at 3:30 p.m. Pray that she'll have the courage to follow up with radiation that is frightening to her. While she was at my home, she was too weak to sit up, so she reclined while I started this painting. And she was not aware at the time that it was going to be a prayer painting for her welfare. My approach to working with people who are ill, I'm not one of these lay your hands on them and you're instantly cured. I'm Mr. Patience, like the lady who needed the double lung transplant. I started that prayer painting in October and was working on it right into May with patience and belief. And she again is doing well. I did that with another lady a long time ago. On a lighter note, I'm attaching a new song that will have you think of Father Paul and other church leaders of Irish descent. And the song is called May the Bible Be Your Blarney Stone. I put it on, attach it to the email. And how about including Pastor Paisley from Ireland and Pastor Kelly from the First Baptist Church in Mississippi. They have a wonderful choir with more choir members than we have people at Sunday's church. It was a magnificent choir. And the sermon was really cool. It seemed like, I drew another parallel here where he was watching a football game that was pre-broadcast or something or another, and later they had a radio cast of that game that was on later. And he's driving along with a friend from one point to another, and he knew who was going to win. And his team was way behind, and the other gentlemen, they were young people at the time, and made him a bet as to who would win. And the Pastor Kelly, obviously Irish, knew who was going to win, and he won the bet anyway. But I think it's the same way with his sermons. He knows who's going to win there too. And if you listen to good homilies and take what they had to say there, they'll help you. Well, anyway, do pray for Sandra and all the other people who have cancer, and may they make new breakthroughs, and they are doing that for different cancer cures. Well, you have a good day. Take care, and God bless you. The last video had to do with Christ's 5 most sacred wounds. And I had suggested that when people are killed in gang violence or things of that nature, that they do a novena of 5 rosaries on the spot and invite more people to pray with them. Focus on Christ's 5 most sacred wounds.